You're tuned to Evergreen Media Network. I am Cindy Schwartz, and this is the Patient Partner Show. We are talking today, Jeannie Roller and I, and we're also on a podcast on Spreaker as well as the show. We're talking today about having phones, medical people, medical workers, keeping their personal cell phones with them, Jeannie, as they work on their, their shift work, whatever you want to call it, their facility work, and why they should be able to keep them and why they should not be able to have them. We've talked on other podcasts about these photos and stuff that are taken in the OR, different things like that. There have been lawsuits about that when some kind of anomaly that the medical worker thinks needs to be having a photo snapped in their own personal phone and then posted on all kinds of social media and things like that. That certainly is to the extreme. And now you're reading a case about a nursing student. It doesn't say if the nursing student is an RN, an LPN, what specifically kind of nursing that they are learning, that had refused to give her cell phone up to the supervisor, which apparently was part of the program. But yet a lot of people, again, this is all splashed across social media, a lot of people are saying, it wasn't specifically written in the bylaws or whatever contract or blah, blah, blah that person signed in the schooling that person is doing. And then, of course, so many people chimed in about what that person, the nursing student, should do instead of it. And one of the ones that I thought was just, profound about the thought pattern that is kind of out there for some situations, and that one person on the social media had suggested to this nursing student, well, just go buy a burner phone and, give that out and just keep your phone, and that way, your back is covered. You turned a phone in. Who cares if it was the real one that you're supposed to turn in or not? So that just blew my mind when I read that, because it just lends itself to credibility. Pick your phrase of what you want to talk about, the credibility, the validity, the lying, whatever word you want to use, to okay, just go ahead and do that, and we're supposed to be in the medical arena, and we're supposed to be above board and have respect and dignity. So Jeannie, talk about it. It's an interesting article, and I'd love to see what happens at the end result. We'll have to follow it up and see what happens with this. Yeah. Well,
Cindy, I think it's ridiculous, because it's not as if this person is going to be isolated on an island and there are no other way to get a hold of them. I mean, if you're doing your clinicals, that's usually in a hospital. They have phones actually there. They have phones at the different stations. So it's not like they cannot be gotten a hold of if need be.
In an emergency.
In an emergency.
Yeah.
Now, my thought is people don't want to give up their phones today because they're constantly texting, they're constantly doing TikTok, and so on and so forth. So a lot of people don't like being without their phones. I don't know if that was this lady's case. She said it's because she had children. Mm-hmm. Well, I had children too, mm-hmm. and I didn't have a phone on me 24/7. They had a number. They knew where I was at, what school I was at, and they could call the front desk and get a hold of me if there mm-hmm. was an emergency. The other thing that you talked about is someone said, well, get a burner phone. Okay. So it's okay to teach people in the medical world to be dishonest. Mm-hmm. So is that what that person is saying? That if you're a medical person, well, you can choose what you want to be honest and moral and ethical about. And if you want to lie about something, it's okay. Mm-hmm. That really bugs me, because I think medical people need to be held to a higher standard. The other thing I wanted to say is I remember during COVID, that there were nurses taking pictures of patients on ventilators, and you could clearly see a lot of these patients' faces. The patients were compromised, like parts of their body were showing that shouldn't have been showing. And these nurses were taking these pictures and putting them all over the internet, on Twitter, on whatever, saying, this is what happens if you don't do this or get a shot, or if you don't wear your mask. And they were taking pictures of these unconscious patients. Mm-hmm. My thing was, I would always write back, did you have explicit consent to post this picture from the patient who was unconscious?
Right.
Because this is, to me, what happens when you give medical people the right to carry their personal cell phones. Some of them will use those cell phones to take pictures of patients that shouldn't be taken. Mm-hmm. And that to me really bugs me, that a lot of these patients won't even know that there's a picture of them that has been taken. It just is, it's beyond even unethical or immoral to me.
Well, it opens up the whole window, I shouldn't say it opens up, it adds to the whole window of what we talk about here all the time, where you walk in as that patient and you are blindly trusting. You're trusting that this person has signed off, maybe not literally, but figuratively and maybe literally, that they are going to be above and beyond whatever you expect it to be, that everything is copacetic, that you have dignity and respect for the patient, and you have blah, 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 that you're held, like you said, to the higher account. Okay, well, the powers that be in the medical arena will exploit that when something happens, like we're held to a higher account, so we don't have to do this, or we do this, as in we talked about on another podcast, the pelvic exam. So we don't need any written informed consent from a patient. We are, medical people, so we're doing the ethical thing with this, right? So now you're doing the same thing with the phones. So me as the patient going in there that's never been in the medical arena as far as the employment side, particularly at that level, I'm thinking, okay, well, these people are all, abiding by the rules of, do the right thing and whatever. And, now you got somebody saying, oh, just buy a burner phone and give it to, who cares what kind of phone they have? That shuts them up kind of thing. I mean, wow. And again, with to call 911, everybody's going to be an emergency. I'm with you. It is a different day and time now. It is from when I had kids in school, but I had kids in school, and people could always get a hold of, like you said, the front desk. And what was it? 2 minutes later, somebody was walking down the hall and giving you the note saying so and so and so and so.
Yeah.
I mean, we got the messages. I never had any problem doing that. I don't know. Does everyone need an instant message? Is that what this is all about? Why do you need an instant message? Because you're going to get the message if you have all the emergency. We've always had emergency situations. We've always had situations where you had to have emergency contact stuff. I don't remember a day when we didn't have that. So what is the actual game plan for this, for lack of a better word? What's the game plan? Is it, wow. And saying that a specific paper was not signed for this specific medical school, this nursing school, I don't know how that works. I mean, will you have something that says specifically you can't bring a phone into it? Maybe this is a test case. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a doctor. These are all my opinions. But is that a test case now that we're going to use? Okay, this is what's going to happen going forward, and then all 50 states or however that works is going to have to approve this? I just think it's disturbing. I just think it's totally disturbing. I'm with you, Jeannie. I don't think there's any reason why you can't give a phone up as a student.
Well, Cindy, my opinion is I don't want any medical person giving me care that has their personal cell phone on their body, because I don't care what people say, that with all the pictures and stuff that we've seen, newspaper stories, there are some that will take inappropriate pictures. Yep. And so I say no cell phone, no personal cell phones for any of them.
Yeah.
While they're in patient care areas. So
it just lends itself to another wall that has been broken through, where you are not really, what am I trying to say? You're not really a patient. You're just a fodder for whatever that facility needs you to be. You're not really a dignified patient that's given respect and whatever. You're just, you're one of the numbers. That's all you are. What's your date of birth? Here we go back again. What's your date of birth? What's your insurance policy? And basically, once you walk through that door, that means that you've already signed the informed consent, and we can, we do what we want with you. So, wow, this is a sad story. We'll have to kind of follow up on this, Jeannie, and see how it works out. On that note, stay tuned to Evergreen Media Network.